He's Seth Davis from CBS Sports Illustrated, wrote a great book about John Wooden, a coach's life, part of the selection show on CBS yesterday, and Seth kind enough to join us. Brackets all set, so what are you angry about today?
Well, I don't get real angry when it comes to this stuff, Dan, because, I feel like the committee does have all the information. The thing, as I remarked on the selection show that really surprised me, was Louisville as a 4. Now, at the end of the day, where you're seated is not as important as your matchup. But, I didn't have them as a 1, but I thought they deserved consideration as a 1. So, as a 4, you're basically saying they're not one of the top 12 teams in the country. And, I would have a hard time believing that. If you look at the teams on the 3 line, the way that Syracuse finished, you've got Creighton there, you've got Duke there. So I think you'd ask any team, any coach in the country, they'd rather play one of those teams than Louisville right now. But, as far as the SMU not getting in, I was surprised, but I was not shocked. They have emphasized a non-conference strength of schedule for many years now, which is a great thing for college basketball. It's the main reason why November and December is so compelling in college basketball. So if they're going to punish a team like SMU, which unlike, a lot of the mid-major schools, Dan, has the opportunity to schedule up, then I'm very much in favor of that because I think that's been good for the sport.
Toughest region, which one?
I've never seen a region like the Midwest. You're talking about 3 of last year's Final Four teams in one region, and the 4th top seed in that region that wasn't in the Final Four is Duke. And then you have a Kentucky team that took Florida to the wire on yesterday for the SEC championship game. So now look at a team like Wichita State as a 1 seed. They're going to really – they just have no margins for error. I think they can get to the Final Four. I have them going all the way to the championship game and losing to Florida. But whoever comes out of the Midwest is going to be very battle-tested for sure.
He's Seth Davis from CBS, also wrote the great book, Wooden, A Coach's Life, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. Favorite first-round matchups?
Well, I like the upsets, which is why my number 1 bracket advice is to not use my picks. So let me give you let me give you a couple of picks not to use.
Okay.
I've liked Harvard all year. This is the same Harvard team that beat New Mexico last year in the first round of the tournament. It's their 3rd consecutive NCAA tournament, and last year they were without 2 seniors who had to leave school for a year because they were caught up in an academic scandal. They're back this year. They played at UConn, played them really tough, played Colorado before they lost their best player really tough. So Harvard in that classic 12-5 upset, I like them to beat Cincinnati. And the other team, I've been talking about them for quite some time now, Dan. In fact, I've been ranking them in my AP Top 25, is Stephen F. Austin. They play in the Southland Conference. They're one of these mid-major teams that has a bunch of older guys, not a lot of size up front, but they put on an absolute offensive and defensive clinic because they really know how to play. They have not lost since November the 23rd.
Seth,
and I think,
Seth,
yes.
What's the F stand for?
I don't know.
You should know that. You should know it.
Question.
It's Fuller. It's Stephen Fuller Austin. If you're going to have this team, Stephen F. and Austin.
It's as if I don't have enough useless knowledge in my head right now. Do you want to cram in something else?
There you go. One more piece.
That is no relevance outside of a conversation with Dan Patrick. Hey, I had them in the Sweet 16. That's how crazy I am. Remember, VCU does not have their best three-point shooter. May not be getting it back, Melvin Johnson. He didn't play in the A-10 final, and VCU doesn't have the center to take advantage inside. And it's Warren Buffett's money. Why not just go for it?
All right, the player that we don't know now that we'll know in 2 weeks is who?
Great question. Cameron Bairstow. He is an Australian 6'9" power forward for New Mexico, one of the most improved players in the country. They could potentially, now they got to get through Stanford, which won't be easy, Dan, but they could potentially get Kansas in the round of 32. And remember, Kansas is going to be without their center, Joel Embiid, and New Mexico has 2 players inside in Bairstow and Alex Kirk, who's 7 foot. Those guys are not only legitimately big guys, but they can really play. They're highly skilled, play some high-low. I think they can do some damage to Kansas inside because Kansas won't have Embiid. So I got New Mexico going all the way to the Elite Eight because, again, those 2 guys inside, I like them against a potential matchup against Syracuse or Ohio State.
We always have those names, Ali, Farouk, Manesh. There's always, what's your favorite name that he was there? Harold Arsenault. Remember, there's always one guy in a tournament, and you never hear from him again. So who's your favorite all time?
Oh, of all time, it's got to be the Big Show. Harold Us. I still think that's the best nickname, and I always wondered why nobody ever took that nickname and tried to use it in some type of sports television programming. So, but actually, my favorite basketball name of all time is a guy named Napoleon Lightning. I can't even tell you where he plays, but he went to the Catskills and worked at some Jewish summer camps, and some of my buddies got to know him well. Napoleon Lightning, my favorite all-time basketball name.
I liked Anisette Lavadrama, who I think played for Houston, but there's just so many of those names down through the years. Give me the Fennis Dembo. Remember him? Was he Wyoming?
From Wyoming, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, give me the 5 teams. Well, you might have more than that. How many teams can actually win the title, in your opinion?
It's probably closer to 8, I would say. Through the years, I want to say that it's 80% of the NCAA champions have been 1 or 2 seeds. So it's pretty much the top 8 teams. But I do think this year, I'll say this is the best 4 line I've ever seen.
Oh, man.
Because you've got, Louisville, which frankly doesn't belong there. Michigan State does belong as a 4 seed because they lost a lot of games when they got hurt. But now all their guys are back. They didn't just beat Michigan yesterday. They flat out embarrassed them, and they could potentially get a lot better as this tournament goes on. So I'd put it about 7 or 8. But at the end of the day, there's 3 or 4 teams that will all agree, if we include Michigan State in there, are the best teams in this tournament. So it's actually an interesting question as to how many teams you would need to pick to go 50-50 against the field. I would say 5. If you could give me 5 teams, I'll give you 50-50 against the field. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah. I'll check with you next week on that.
Okay.
Remember, the F in Stephen F. Austin.
I've forgotten it already.
Fuller.
Can I just tell people that it's Stennis just because I want to?
Absolutely. Whatever you, yeah, they'll believe you.
I love you, Dan.
Safe travels. Bye, Seth.
Bye.
Seth. Seth Davis from CBS, Road to the Final Four.